Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for coming on the Feel Good Social podcast.
Hello. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I did already introduce you just a little bit in the intro, but I'd love to hear from you. Who are you? What do you
What?
do? Tell us all about yourself.
Well, I love serving e-commerce brands, physical store owners, boutique owners. That's really been my passion for the last 12 years. We created a community called the Boutique Hub, which serves about 100,000 stores around the world in 7 countries. And our goal is connecting every small business owner with the products that they love. We have a wholesale platform that we also own called hubventory.com, where you can buy wholesale products to sell in your business. But we teach business owners everything they need to know in this space, from running Facebook ads to content creation to managing a team to inventory management, being a CEO versus an entrepreneur, all of those things. And so we do that through our membership at the Boutique Hub, the courses that we offer, and then we host a large in-person event called the Boutique Summit as well.
Oh man, I love everything about your brand. And also, I cannot wait to nerd out with you because, guys, we were chatting before we hit record, and I don't like as much as I love marketing and I know about branding and all the digital stuff. When it comes to product stuff, it's like a little different, or there's some shifts we need to make, like either mindset or just in the content and stuff. So, anyway, man, we are gonna geek out so hard. But before we get into the tips, I always like to kick off the conversation by just asking a little bit about you and your story. What has your journey in entrepreneurship looked like? How have you gotten to where you are today?
I feel like every good entrepreneur story comes with a big shift in the middle of it. I think so
Mm.
often we get this idea about starting a business, and I really think it's something that we're somehow taught in school. Okay, you're going to create a business plan, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do that, and everything's going to go according to plan. And that is never how it works in the real world. Definitely
Yeah.
not how it worked for me. I originally had an idea because I grew up in North Dakota. Have you ever been to North Dakota, Kenzie? You
Yes.
have? No one has
Well,
ever been to North Dakota. I'm shocked.
I grew up in Montana,
Oh, you
and
did?
we had family in Indiana, so we drive through North Dakota. But I understand North Dakota, but not very many people do.
No.
Go on.
Okay, we need to have a whole conversation, side note, on Montana. I grew up on the
Completely, yes.
North Dakota-Montana border, and middle of
Mhm.
nowhere. We had a lot of like small shops in our community. I loved those small shops. But then when I left North Dakota to go to college, I really fell in love with boutiques around the world. And when I say boutique, it could be a beautiful store in the big city downtown somewhere. It could be a little booth, a vendor booth set up at a rodeo in Reno. Like, it was all of those things. I just love finding unique, curated, cool, different things that nobody else had access to. And back then, growing up, there really wasn't social media yet. There wasn't really like online shopping yet. That was all
Yeah.
new. So my only method of finding these cool stores was travel. And fast forward a couple of years, I ended up working in economic development, which is such a passion of mine. I love developing communities and like legislative action, all these like nerdy things. What I loved in working in economic development was I just found this passion for helping small business owners. Whatever it was they were working on, I was going to help them achieve that dream. And so eventually I began noodling on this idea that I needed to create an online shopping mall of boutiques. Again, so people like me who felt like they lived in the middle of nowhere had access to all these cool stores we were now starting to find on the internet. And a couple of years, social media comes to fruition. All these things start to unfold. I left my career in economic development, moving from North Dakota to Wisconsin. And in that move and starting a new chapter of my life, my husband and I decided we were going to invest our life savings into creating this online shopping mall I talked about. So we find a random web developer, we build this website. It's got these boutiques from all over the country on it that consumers can shop. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to realize, wait, this is not what the boutique owners need. This is not actually what they're asking for. I had a chicken and an egg problem with this website. I didn't have enough traffic to really host enough boutiques. I didn't have enough boutiques to draw enough traffic, and I was stuck in the middle. And the more I talked to these boutique owners, the more I realized they were former teachers, nurses, stay-at-home moms. They really had no business experience. They just needed to know how to grow the business. And thankfully, that background in economic development really came into play. And I just have always believed it's not just what you know, but it's who. So I told all of these ladies, I was like, look, I'll teach you everything I know about business, but wherever I have a gap, I'm just going to find an expert to bring to the community to share with you. And so organically, we started to build this large community of retailers around the world. In 2016, we launched our first membership. And now we have thousands and thousands of members of our community, again, 100,000 stores around the world, that we don't worry about that online shopping mall of boutiques anymore. We just worry about serving small business owners with the information they need to grow their business. And we do all of that through community over competition.
I do love that's why I love asking people about their origin story and whatnot, because it's so fun to hear like all the different things. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Let's go ahead and dive in to some of the nerdy tips that you have to share with us.
Yeah.
Because also, side note, friends, I was laughing because I have recently started a bead jewelry hobby, and I'm slightly trying to show up on a new Instagram account, a third Instagram account. Who knows why I did that? But share with us some of the tips that you have for like showing up and creating content when it comes to like physical products.
I love this for you, and I can't wait to see your creations. But I just think this is one of the most important things we do in business is creating content. And as I think about it, I'm going to give it to you through the lens of physical product like marketing. But really, I'm not a physical product owner. Yes, I sell a day planner and some other things. But for the most part, even if you're a coach or you sell a service, I think this formula still works for you too. And I use it myself. So the way I look at creating content is I see 6 essential pieces of content. So when we're creating, we're batching, we're planning what content we're going to post on a regular basis, I think it falls in these 6 buckets. And these 6 buckets for me really came from a larger overarching strategy, which I call our content recipe. And I think a content recipe is comprised of branded content. So behind the scenes, get to know you. Why do I want to follow you type content? Sales content. So what is it that you're selling? And then engagement content. Just get me to stop the scroll and engage with what you've got going on. So from that kind of recipe, those 3 buckets came these 6 like really important pieces of content that we need to be creating on a weekly basis. The first one is live content. So whether I'm going live on Facebook Live or Instagram Live or TikTok, live video is just so powerful is because it humanizes your brand. It creates personal relationships where people feel like they're talking one-on-one to you, they're getting their questions answered, and then it drives notifications. It's the most powerful notification driver anywhere on social. So making sure I have a live content plan is number 1. Second piece of content is short form video. So short form video is either going to educate or it's going to entertain. It's going to show how to use and wear our products, or it's just going to give me inspiration about the product in general, or it might just be a stupid TikTok dance that has no point other than to play with the algorithm. The third piece of content is your actual products. So photos of your beads and your jewelry and how to buy that piece of jewelry. That's also very important. What is the one single click that gets that item into my cart? Not just, oh, look, I'm making jewelry, but exactly show me how to buy the jewelry. And when I think about this from a retail space, my dog's going to whine, you guys, while we're talking. When I think about this from a retail space, you have to think about product related content, both as new content or new products, but also aged products. So when you're in retail, the cycle of inventory management is like a constant hamster wheel. It's buying new and making new releases to your customers. It's looking at what didn't sell in your last cycle, marking it down and getting it to sell. So you're always creating new cash in your business. So new and aged products come into that third bucket. The fourth bucket is quotes and memes. Again, it's just engagement. It's just stopping the scroll every single week. The fifth piece of content is personal stories. Again, same reason. I'm just humanizing my brand, stopping the scroll, getting my customer to speak back and create bi-directional communication with me. And then finally, the last piece of content is collections. So every good brand, their sole purpose should be solving a customer's problem. And so when I talk about a collection, what are the group of products that I have that I can put together right now that solve an immediate need for my customer? So if I'm selling apparel, I'm thinking about, oh, customers are going to be going to summer weddings. So what's my summer wedding collection? Or, oh, it's cold in half of the country, right? What's my winter essentials collection, my holiday collection, my gift guide collection? And the same thing is true when you're selling services as well. You're just thinking about the different life cycles of your customer and what they need right now and making sure every week you're focused on a different collection or like a focus of what it is you're going to offer that week.
Yeah. Ooh, I love this so much. And yeah, as you were talking, I was realizing how these could totally apply to not just physical products, but also any sort of entrepreneur, service provider, or digital product person as well. And I've never heard of collections, life cycle collections as a content bucket, which is a really cool idea. But it's so true. One of the things I've really been mulling over is like, how can I show up and offer my people exactly what they need right now? And it's so funny because people have talked about this kind of in the past where it's like seasonal things. But then I feel like people get too caught up in the holidays. Remember when everyone was like hopping on every single holiday hashtag trend or guys,
Yeah.
we don't need to create a post for like National Pizza Day unless that's like really a part of your brand or something, or you're just feeling like it. But it is really about meeting the vibe where it's at right now and meeting your people where they're at right now with exactly what they need and like the life season. Thinking about not just exactly how you help them, but like maybe they're feeling extra busy right now because their kids just went back to school or something like that. And that doesn't have anything to do with your brand, but it's like the energy of your customer.
I love this question because the way I look at it, and maybe you've read Donald Miller's book, Story Brand. So I
Mhm.
always think about it like the hero's journey, right? So in every good story, of course, there's a hero who defeats the villain. And so if we constantly think about our customer as the hero of the story, and we're always trying to help that hero of the story defeat the villain, we're the wise guide. So we're the Yodas, and we're looking at our customer as the Luke Skywalker, and he has to defeat Darth Vader. And how are we going to help him do that? So the collections, again, in that content that helps them overcome is just thinking about my customer and the journey that they're on, the life cycle that they're on. What are they facing right now? What is the success map that I have that no one else has that I can put in the hands of my hero customer to help them defeat that villain? So it's just constantly putting myself in that space. And physical product wise, you know who does this better than anyone? Target. Freaking Target. Every time I go to Target, I'm like, what are you doing, Target? You're like 10 steps ahead of me. You know all the things that I need before I know that I need them. And I can't get around the store without going, oh crap, yes, I'm going to have a summer grill out. Of course, I need to buy these new pot holders and these new planters and these new lanterns and all of these things because it's anticipating my needs before I realize that I'm going to have that need. So just thinking ahead and solve problems is key.
Yes, yes, yes. You know, I had a question about like live video because I completely see how live video is like so awesome for connecting and breaking down that barrier of like reality and humanizing our brand better. But I think that there's a few things when it comes to live video. Firstly, people, of course, get nervous because showing up on video in general is scary. But then also when it's live, it's stumbling over your words. What the heck do I talk about? But then also when it comes to as a physical product brand and live video, what types of content do you think people could do when it comes to live video for physical products and stuff?
Yeah. I first want to address what you said about just the fear of getting on live video because everybody who does live video has had to overcome that at some point. It's not like you were born with a phone in your face and comfortable just talking to random strangers on the internet. So we all
Right.
start somewhere. And I think a great place to start, if that's you, is starting on Instagram stories and just getting used to speaking face to camera on Instagram stories. They disappear in 24 hours. You can edit them, delete them, all the things, and then work your way up from there. And I think the second thing that you need to think about when you're starting is no one wants you to be perfect. Perfect is really boring. Perfect is unattainable. People want to know like that you have a little bit of a crap show in your life, just like they have a little bit of a crap show in their life. They want to know that you're human and relatable and that you make mistakes. And yeah, you might fumble over your words, and that's great. They're going to love you more when you do that. So don't set this false expectation that it has to be so great because it just really doesn't. And then when you start your live video journey, it can be a number of things. So in the retail space and in the product space, there's a huge trend that's called live selling, where I'm showing like one product after the next. And in China, this is like the number one way people buy products. So that idea is I'm using technology that I'm scanning in a product. It automatically pulls up on my screen, and my customer can watch me going live talking about the product, but then check out with that one click of a button on the screen. So that's a
Mhm.
whole, again, it's a different type of e commerce, and you can get there but you don't have to start there. So I might think of live selling just as maybe a live show. Like it's Wind Down Wednesday and it's Ashley just sitting here talking about her favorite products, and a live podcast. I might have a guest or an employee or a customer or somebody join me. Those like just little like example shows too, where you're doing try on sessions, fit videos, demonstrating products. That sort of thing works really well live as well. Again, those of you in retail in the product space, if you're going to markets, if you're buying your products, going live while you're
Nice.
doing that, or you can see while you're making jewelry, going live while you're beading something. We see it on TikTok. Going live shipping orders is another big piece of it. There's just so many ways to bring people behind the scenes on the journey. We're so inquisitive and we're just in this like fascinating TikTok culture where we want to see what goes into making a product. So I think bringing that to life as much as possible is a really great place to start.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. And I think that it's good for people to hear that too, because a lot of times, well, firstly, the perfection thing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for bringing that up. Also, they think that this is boring. Who wants to watch me package up an order?
I know it just takes time. And then I have some of our clients who I just have to shout out that are just so, they've gotten to the point where they're so far beyond that. They're into like shock value. They're like, what could I do live that would just make people just stop dead in their tracks? And so my friend Mindy is a good example of this. She's got this great, like huge boutique in Texas. She is known for her shock value. And her husband, Junior, bless his heart, will get on lives with her. And this is maybe like a year ago now. I watched this happen. I was squealing. I was laughing so hard. But she was waxing her husband's nose hairs on live video. And it is the best thing I've ever watched. I was just like, couldn't put my phone down. I was dying. Junior was like crying because she was waxing his nose hairs. This has nothing to do with the products she's selling at all. All it has to do is building a brand, humanizing her and her husband, getting the shock value and the engagement that's coming from social media. And of course, like if I'm going to watch her wax her husband's nose hairs, of course I want to know what she's going to be selling. What is she going to show me as a new arrival? I have to see what products she has to offer. So think about it. It doesn't have to be related to your business at all when you go live. That it can be something that just makes you a human being and it's for fun.
Yeah. Oh, that is so funny. All of these different permission slips that we need almost. And then you just start practicing and you get so much more comfortable so quickly. You also open your eyes. So, oh, maybe I could try this. I think it's really approaching it with curiosity, allowing yourself to be curious and allowing yourself to be creative too, maybe.
Oh man, yeah, there's just no box. There's no boundary. You're only like creating this fake boundary in your mind of what you can and can't share. And I think sometimes people feel like, oh, can I share too much? I don't really think you can. I think people, again, they just want to relate to you as a human being. For profession, this is what I teach. I teach retailers, I teach business owners how to grow their business. The other day, I went live organizing my utensil drawer, knives, spatulas, random things. Because besides the business, my personal brand is I'm also a mom of three that are crazy busy and I'm running this business with these three kids. And so sometimes slipping in and thinking about like your content in a couple of buckets, like there's the products you sell, the business you run, but then what are your interests, hobbies, passions, or personal life? Like creating a bucket of your Fab Five, essentially, and making sure you're pulling content from all those areas. That's a great way to create a well-rounded brand that's a human brand and not just focused on a product, because your customer is not always ready to buy. And so when they're not in the mode of buying, I want to say 3% of your customers are ready to buy right now. So when I'm in that 97% and I'm not ready to buy right now, how do I stay engaged with you? And why would I stay engaged with you? You have to have more to offer than just what's for sale.
Yes, it's taking like product-based businesses into the realm of personal branding and how do
Absolutely.
they intersect? And actually that was going to be my next question is I feel definitely people have maybe this mindset block about bringing their personality and a little bit of personal branding into a product-based business brand. But then also that leads into them struggling maybe to stand out from the crowd online, especially with like online boutiques. It's hard sometimes to figure out how to differentiate yourself. Do you have any tips for people when it comes to that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think standing out, that's to me the number one reason why I would create a personal brand is to stand out from everybody else. Like this sweater that you're wearing or the blazer that I'm wearing. These are a dime a dozen. Anybody can buy these from any number of places. But people aren't really buying just because of the product, they're buying because of the way that you're making them feel. So people may want to buy this blazer from me versus Nordstrom because they want to be in my space. They relate with my brand. They relate to the way that I make them feel. They love the sense of customer service they get from me or the way I give them styling advice, or I just make it different than everybody else. And I think the other thing is when you make a personal brand, you could sell anything. Like you might have a personal brand and you might be selling clothing, accessories, jewelry, shoes, whatever it might be, but you can very easily shift that personal brand into also selling information products or providing services or whatever. That brand can go any number of directions. You're not just limited to that one product that you're selling at that time.
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. And then it comes back to storytelling too,
Yeah.
right? We don't even comprehend often like the power of stories when it comes to any sort of brand, but even especially product-based businesses. It's so funny. Actually, I'm such a nerd when it comes to branding and storytelling. And one of the examples that I often use when I talk about storytelling in your marketing is how I bought this sweater that I completely didn't need in like the hottest month of the year because I looked at the sweater and I like was reminded of like my childhood when I would go chop down a Christmas tree with my parents in the woods and
Yeah.
stuff and like wear these cozy sweaters. And I was like, that story that I was telling myself about the sweater made me hit buy. And it's so powerful. The stories that you see in other people, the stories that you tell yourself, not just
Yeah.
when it comes to your journey in your life, but also your purchasing decisions.
Absolutely. People buy with their emotions more than anything. We use this example a lot in our coaching. If I was going to sell a little black dress, right? Everybody has a little black dress. And so if I'm selling the little black dress, I'm really not selling the little black dress. I'm selling, how does this dress make me feel? What does this look like to wear this dress out on a date? Maybe it's a funeral. Maybe there's a reason I'm buying this little black dress. Maybe it's for some other occasion. But how could I hit this little black dress in all of my emotions, the value of it, the composition of it, the
Yeah.
fabric of it, all of these things that can relate to a story about where I may be going with it and how it's going to make me feel when I get there, rather than just saying, buy this little black dress. Nobody cares about that, right? People don't want to do business with companies. They want to do business with people because people have a way of infecting others with that sense of emotion and belonging.
Oh, I love that so much. I can't believe it's almost been 30 minutes already, but I really loved this conversation. And thank you so much for sharing all of your tips with us.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to leave us with? Any little nuggets or anything?
Oh gosh, the last thing I would say is, and this is such a whole nother tangent, but these pieces of content, I think you just have to be really willing to put yourself out there, try something new, test the results, but then make sure you're tracking how much traffic and acquisition am I getting to my website once I'm testing these things. Content is no good if you don't know the end game of the content, and that is how much traffic do I need to drive to impact my sales. So content's fun, content's great, but track the results of the content.
Yes, I love that so much. And Ashley, I know that you have resources for us and all that jazz. Can you please share with everyone how they can connect with you and find all your resources?
Absolutely. So find us at theboutiquehub.com. Also, the Boutique Hub on Instagram, or myself personally, and of course, my knife drawer organization skills. That's at AJ Alderson on Instagram. If you're needing some freebies, ways to drive more traffic if you're a physical product store, just go to theboutiquehub.com, click on resources. And there's tons of freebies and downloads there for you to gather as well.
Oh man, I can't wait to check that out myself. But thank you so much for this conversation. This was so fun.
It was awesome. Thanks for having me.